Hey, it's Soul, and guess what? The war within Alpha is just about to begin. You're gonna get buried under tons of information and data mining and more. It's gonna come from this channel and other channels and streams and websites and so on. But this video is gonna focus on just some quick, plain old information. What are some of the most important facts to know? Features that need explaining or questions that need answers? It's all gonna hopefully be condensed here. Please like the video, subscribe for more coverage, and catch me live on Twitch. Let's go over the Warband camp screen. Ew, pretty. It doesn't quite have the personality compared to the concept that we saw back at BlizzCon, at least it's not set up like that yet. At the moment, 4 of your favorite characters will stand around in their camp. Setting them up is as easy as just dragging and dropping a character onto one of the 4 slots here, and where they go is displayed here on screen. As announced, your realm or your level or faction, it doesn't matter, anyone can be part of your camp screen. Mousing over each character in your camp lets you rotate them as usual, but the game doesn't lock their position. We're not posing dolls here. The rest of the UI also got a bit of a touch-up, as you can see, with command buttons towards the top. On the character list to the side there, we have some more touch-ups. Mousing over a character gives some additional information, including professions that they possess. At first I thought, okay, that's not very important, but after searching through my own memory, like my own collection of alts, I'm like, oh, okay, fine, it's useful to know. Dragonriding is not called Dragonriding anymore, it's called Skyriding. It's one of many small terminology changes that are happening with the War Within, but those aren't important right now. Also, the WoW team wasn't kidding about adding Skyriding, or dynamic flight, or whatever you want to call it, to nearly every flying mount out there with very few exceptions. Unfortunately, the alpha accounts weren't given an assortment of different mounts to test this out with, but this Pure Heart Courser mount, as you can see, it gives us an example feel that it does take some getting used to. And of course, we have this glorious B-roll footage that was provided by Blizzard. Switching between Skyriding and normal flying styles is also a snap. You either just press a button on the UI here, or you have an ability that you can drag onto your hotbar. This applies to all mounts at once, instead of like customizing certain mounts to Skyride and other mounts do not. It's pretty much all or nothing. More on Skyriding. At the moment on the alpha, all of our Skyriding abilities are fully unlocked and are learned with this placeholder currency called Dragon Power, which we already have. Also, we can freely switch between Whirling Surge or Lightning Rush, as well as turn on Passenger Mode right from the talent screen. One of the primary antagonists in the War Within include the Nerubian race, spider dudes with some really nasty attitudes. Understandably, some players have an outright fear of spiders, even fictional ones. To that end, and this is true, there is an arachnophobia mode that will convert Nerubians into different creatures altogether, as in crabs. Yes, you can in fact reinterpret large swaths of this expansion, or heck, the whole game, as man versus crab. And yeah, this applies to legacy content too, but because testing is limited in the alpha, I'm not quite sure what happens to people who are on those spider-like mounts. Changing the setting is done from the options menu. It's very easy. All you gotta do is type in arachnophobia, or at least some variation of it, in the search bar, then you'll pull it up and you can immediately toggle it on and off for some hilarious effects. Now, if I was smart, I could probably cook up a macro to hotkey this for even more fun. While doing a playthrough of the main campaign, I noticed that we eventually get led into completing a dungeon, and it has to be done in order to progress. Now, this isn't testable yet, but this takes into account follower dungeons, which we expect to not just be a place to practice with our characters, but to unite the dungeon and storytelling experience together. It does suck not being able to see an important development because the queue sucks, or you don't prefer the company of 4 other strangers. How many bank tabs can you have in your Warband Bank? 5, which equals 490 slots with which to store your unbound items and reagents, as well as Warbound gear. Now, how much does it cost to unlock all 5 slots? It'll cost you a little bit over 3 million gold, as unlocking the initial bank is easy, but each slot costs 5 times higher than the previous one. Now, not to say that you need to have 3 and some million gold to make this bank even usable, but for the convenience, you might want to start saving your coppers now. The pre-made alpha characters we were given have an item level of 437, which I'm gonna guess is what early questing is going to be kind of sort of tuned around. So people who are playing through Season 4 Dragonflight content, you're gonna be just fine. In Dornogal, the capital city, in the blacksmith area, there's a power hammer. As you can see, some people tested out whether it works. And it works. The trading post is also available in Dornogal. There's no need to hoof it back to Ogremar or Stormwind each month. Expect more of the same with professions, which, by the way, now have their own separate button on the menu bar. Materials still appear to have 3 ranks, and crafted gear with 5, so, it's all familiar. As of this recording, I don't have anything on crafting order changes, other than that NPCs will occasionally populate the public order queue. It sounds like it's personal, so think of it like a profession mission table, or a different way of having profession weekly quests. There wasn't much that I could test here, but I was able to pull up the specializations for herbalism. It mostly hasn't changed. We'll eventually get mounted gathering again, we can overload nodes for bonuses. One change for herbalism comes from the seed planting specialization, which felt kinda meh in Dragonflight. There's going to be a farm in one of the War Within zones where we can plant our seeds, so it's a nice bit of quality life change that makes seed planting a useful spec to focus on. Delves are very, very cool. I'm going to have some separate coverage for that. But here's the most important info that we've learned so far. There are multiple difficulties of delves that you can set by simply choosing your desired difficulty. The best gear that you can have dropped is going to be equal to that of Mythic 5 gear. Now that's going to translate to mid-level champion gear, and we'll have opportunities to loot that at least once per week using some special delve keys. Separately, there's what we'll get from the Great Vault. According to early announcements, we can still expect to get hero gear from that, and we're just waiting on some details. There's one Renown activity I can at least mention, and it's got something to do with performances in Dornogal. As your Renown goes up, you'll get buffs to perform better and get more rewards. Overall, this Renown track, and I can only see one at the moment, will feel familiar to other factions introduced in later Dragonflight patches, with 25 levels, some player power attached to it, keys for delve treasures, a heroic upgrade token from crafting, and other cosmetics. It does not appear that big story quests will be tied to this particular faction like in Dragonflight. There are lots of other in-depth details to share in this first build of the alpha, but I figured that this is a great way to just kind of introduce you into what to expect at this stage of the alpha. Feel free to ask questions in the comments, and I'll answer them as best as I can, and take a look at my other coverage as it comes in. Please like this video, subscribe for more War Within coverage, catch me live, and I'll catch you later. Stay safe, stay healthy, and stay breezy.